Morning folks, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Simon. We're going to meet up with a runner this morning and hear his story. Adrian, aka the Canal Runner. Now, I've been stalking him for a while on Instagram because we share a love of running on the canal. And looking at his Instagram, he's been to some of the places that I've been to and some that I haven't. So I like to go, oh, look at that. I'll go and visit there sometime. Anyway, he set himself an epic challenge. And so today I thought we'd have a chat with him. What this challenge is. I hope you'll stick around and find out all about it. Okay, while we wait for the Canal Runner to arrive, let's have a quick chat about what's coming up on the channel. So, where have I been recently and what's coming up? Well, next week on YouTube is a cracker, don't miss it. We're heading over to Froggatt Edge, which is beautiful. The heathers were lovely. There's this escarpment with these fantastic views. And we had Jason, our guest runner, filming that, and I was exploring the surrounding countryside. Here's a little bit of a clip of that, just to whet your appetite. Morning, 4:30 in the morning. You know what that means? Yep, we're running with Jason. So today we're out to filming in the Peak District in Derbyshire at Froggatt Edge. And here it is, the UK's only Grade 2 listed chippy. I wonder if Jarvis Cocker, Liam Gallagher and Tom Cruise are your battered sausage, chips, mushy peas and gravy men.
How you doing?
Not so bad. That was a fluke. That was really just luck. What's it like so far?
Nice
then?
up there. Yeah, nice up there.
Looks beautiful.
A couple of people wild camping on the top.
Meanwhile, what else have I been up to? Where have I been? Okay, so you might remember last time we met up with Hayden's Mini Adventures. Well, he filmed a beautiful route at sunrise for us through the beautiful Flintshire countryside, running down to the ship at Moston. So that one will be coming in, I don't know, 6-8 weeks time. I'll just give you a tiny, teeny taster of that.
It's a stunning spot. Absolutely stunning. Looking towards the Wirral and Liverpool. Over there in the distance is Liverpool Cathedral, St John's Tower, the Wirral estuary, Holywell, the east side in the distance, some of the chimneys.
More of that when we get closer to it. Where else have I been? Okay, so as you know, I am starting to feel slightly better. I have ups and downs, but I am starting to feel slightly better. This week, at the moment though, I can only do leisure drives really. I can just film the countryside from the car, so that's what I'm doing. So, well, last night I was over on the Wirral for a sunset. That was stunning. And where else have I been? Oh yeah, I had a leisure drive around DELAMERE Forest, showing you the quieter places in DELAMERE Forest. to park to get a different view of the forest. Both of those are going to be Patreon exclusives, but I'll just give you a little sneak peek of them now. Hi folks, we're off for another leisure drive. I thought today we might go and explore around DELAMERE Forest. I've got a bit of local knowledge, having been brought up in the area. So yeah, I figure you might get a slightly different perspective of the forest. Really, it comes down to where you enter, where you park. Okay, so here's Gresty's Waste, which is a good place to start. So we're on the sandstone trail here. If you cross the road that way, you're up into the heading for the main part of the forest, and you'll go up and up towards EDINBURGH, where there was a hill fort. Heading in the other direction, you're heading out towards Primrose Wood. Right folks, we're here today with Adrian Wootton. Pleased to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you.
And yeah, he's a keen runner and also known as the Canal Runner, and he's going to tell us all about it today. So tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where are you brought up?
From Crewe, lived in Crewe all my life, worked in Crewe, grown up in Crewe, and I started running maybe about 7 or 8 years ago.
Right, so fairly new to running then.
Yeah. I was pretty unfit, well, very unfit, I would say.
Right.
And then I started, when I first started running, I was struggling to run even half a mile just up the road. It was really, really difficult, just to get that far, really. And then I stretched it out to a mile, 2 miles, a little bit further. And I started doing, 10k runs, Manchester 10k, that sort of thing. I suppose just like the average runner would do, really.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way of keeping fit. You don't need any equipment particularly. You can just go out your front door and do a run. And it's just, it's just yourself against the run, really.
Right.
You're challenging yourself.
So do you like to run on your own, or do you run in a group, or a bit of both?
I generally run on my own. Occasionally I run with other people, but generally run on my own.
Just my quiet time.
You've got to organise. I do run with somebody, but you've got to organise it and you've got to be there with somebody else when they're available. It's just a bit too difficult to do that all the time.
It's just, and it's a physical challenge for you. Is that bettering yourself? I find that really. It's amazing what your body can do, isn't it? You start out and you can hardly run at all, and by just being persistent with it and slowly building over time, you get stronger and stronger and faster, and you can go further and further and further. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, I'm not a fast runner.
No, me neither.
I'm not. I wouldn't. I'd say I'm not as fast as the average club runner, but I enjoy it and I enjoy challenging myself to see what I can do.
These days, for me, when I was young, I could do a half marathon, an 8-minute mile. Now, 10, 11-minute mile probably. And mate, it doesn't matter. Not a jot. It really doesn't matter.
Well, you see sometimes people, maybe they've just started running and they're jogging along really slowly, but those runs can be really challenging for them, as challenging for an Olympic athlete running running their distance. It's very much an individual thing, I think.
It is. I think you see people. You finish your race, and then you're there half an hour later, and you're watching and clapping as the people come in, and those people. I often think those people have worked harder than you, actually, because they've been running for an extra half hour, haven't they? Or more. Anyway, so that's how you got into running. Tell us a bit about this challenge you've set yourself, because I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, well, how it started was it was one of these competitions that one of the runs I was doing just before the pandemic. I think it was half marathon, and then you had to do it on your own because you couldn't be in contact with other people. And I picked the Llangollen Canal. It was nice and flat, no hills.
Yeah,
quite nice.
Beautiful there.
Yeah, quite a nice canal. So I ran along there. And I quite enjoyed doing that. And then I thought, well, I think a couple of weeks later I did another one. And then my wife was working hard on intensive care during the pandemic. All the colleagues were.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, oh well, I like running these canals. I could maybe during the pandemic do sort of a canal running challenge.
Yeah.
Combine the two things, try and raise some money. So I was trying to raise £500 for my wife's unit.
Right.
And that's how it all started, really. It was quite easy at first because I was just running around the local canals in Cheshire. There's lots of canals in Cheshire near where I live in Crewe. But as time has gone on, it's become progressively more difficult as I need to travel further and further away.
It's the logistics of the travel, isn't it? I have this too.
Yes, yeah.
Also, the issue with, I guess, is working out what order you do the canals in, because they're all crisscrossed and interconnected. How do you just do it piecemeal, or have you?
Well, what I've found is it's better to do one at a time. Do one and then
Pick
complete another one. Otherwise, because you've got to remember the way you finished before.
So
you don't be running it all twice. You know.
Definitely the one you want to do first is the one at Middlewich. The Walden, is it the Walden Canal? Because that's only about 300 yards long. You could got to do that as a sprint.
Right. I mean, I'm starting to worry now. I haven't done that one because I don't know where that is.
You don't, right? So so you've got the Trenton Mersey through at Middlewich, haven't you?
Yes.
And by King's Lock pub, it meets the Wardle Canal. I think it's called the Wardle Canal, which is a spur. But it's that canal. I think it might even be the shortest canal in the country. It's only a couple hundred yards long. And it connects to then a spur of the Shrop's Union Canal. That's right. And that runs through to Barbridge.
Yeah, Barbridge, by the Barbridge pub. Yeah, no, I have done that one. Yeah. You had me worried there for a minute.
So you're doing them one at a time. So which canals have you done so far?
I've done pretty much all of the ones round the northwest. Birmingham, I've done quite a few around Birmingham. Scotland, I've done one of the canals in Scotland. Around Edinburgh.
You're cutting new ground all the time then.
Yeah. I've tried to work out from Cheshire. I think some of the best ones I've done, the nicest canals I've done. The Llangollen Canal is one of my favourites. Really picturesque.
The far end of the Llangollen Canal. Yeah. The water. It's like completely clear, like a river, isn't it? When you get down near the Horseshoe Falls there.
It is, yeah. And you've got the falls at the end. You've got some really nice pubs around there. And
I've done part of that. I've run the section at the far end by the Horseshoe Falls through to Llangollen. I did that as a circular, and then I've done a couple of sections down to Chirk and through that big long tunnel.
Yes.
I forgot my head torch that day.
And then you've got I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, the Ponty Castle aqueduct.
I haven't done that. It's about a 10-mile section from Chirk through to Llangollen that I want to do. So
I'd say that's one of me. You've got, I think it's an aqueduct at Chirk as well.
Yeah. Yes, I've run over there.
Yeah, so all that section along there. You know, I'd recommend anybody, whether it's a run or a walk or cycling. It's maybe not cycling over that aqueduct. Maybe not a good idea.
I must admit, it was slightly scary. I don't like heights, but it was. You're looking at it thinking this was built probably 200 years ago, and it's just got this little flimsy metal railing between me and a couple 100-foot drop.
Yes, there's a massive drop down there.
And I also noticed that the canal itself that the boats are in, even more scary for them. It's just like a steel trough, isn't it? I'm thinking, that's a steel trough put in a couple hundred years ago, with the weight of, I don't know, what would that water must weigh, a lot, plus the boat, and then underneath it it's just a drop. But I'm a bit of a doom watch, so I do think like that.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular though, and yeah, I would really I'd recommend that. And the other one round there is the Montgomery Canal that goes out toward Welshpool.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's not so well known because it's large sectors of it are not navigable, but that's yeah, that's really nice as well. Quite overgrown. If you go in the summer, covered in lilies and quite overgrown. Very, very nice, very picturesque. And I think a lot of people don't realise that these places are even there.
No,
you know?
they don't. The other thing I like about a canal is that it just cuts through the countryside, doesn't it? You see things from a different perspective than you would if you went through on the road, you know. And one minute you're in a town, the next minute you're in the countryside in the middle of nowhere. It's just, it gives you a different view of the world.
Yeah, the way I see it is you kind of seeing places from the inside. You know, you're walking through the city. You're seeing one way, but when you're going along the canal, you're seeing places from a different perspective, especially in the towns, and you know, you get to see lots of different places, and finding, like me and my wife are going to the places that I've saying
Yeah,
to
that's it.
We'll have to go to
We'll
this
have to
place
go
and
there.
that place.
I've done the same with my
And,
family. We've gone, sorry, you've got to come here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and then we end up going, you know, going to various things I've seen along the routes. Yeah,
I think of the places or the canals I've done around here. I ran down the canal right down to Ellesmere Port. That was beautiful. The Chester Canal. Well, that's the Shroppie, isn't it? So down the Shroppie from Chester all the way through to Ellesmere. You end up at the boat museum. Have you done that?
Yes, yeah. I've ended up at the boat. I'd probably kind of hairy moment there. So I was running under one of the motorways there. There's a great big long tunnel with a narrow walkway and a metal railing on one side.
Yeah.
And this young lad on a motorbike just come tearing towards me. So I pinned myself up against the wall, and he must have been going 30 miles an hour and just missed me by a few inches. And I've had two motorbike incidents
really?
like that. Yes, yeah. The most probably the biggest risk is dogs, though, because I go early in the morning and find that people seem to like walking dangerous dogs at the crack of dawn.
I don't. I must admit, I'm one of the. I think dogs can smell if you're afraid of them. I mean, and if you're not afraid, they love me. I mean, you do get ones that are trained. And the only time I've ever had an issue with a dog, I was out running, and I won't say where. We don't want to have a court case, but I was running down this country lane, and then there's this big house, and then this Rottweiler starts running through this. It's a big garden. Starts running through this, getting up to full speed, and I just ignore it, you know, because I go, oh, a little fluffy Rottweiler, and it's running through, and then it comes straight through the hedge to the road and straight at me, and I was slightly off at this point. But it was obviously being trained to jump up and bite. But it sort of jumped up, and I could feel the air under my chin as its jaws went shut. But even then I wasn't particularly afraid, and I think it just walked away, just left me alone.
If you started running, it'd have been on you.
But that's it. If it had smelt the fear hormones, or you'd run, yeah, a dog like that could have really done for you. But for I think most dogs, they just want to come for a run with you. And I must admit, I'm one of those sort of antisocial people. When I'm out running, if I see, I'll always say hello to a dog. Morning, Pooch. Whereas half the time I don't talk to humans. I trust dogs, but I don't trust humans.
I am a bit wary of dogs. I must admit.
The only time that I find dogs slightly creepy is when you're down the canal in the dark, and you'll be going, and you'll have your head torch on in the winter, and then especially you've got someone they've got 3 or 4 dogs, and they've all got different coloured eyes in the dark, coming at. It's like some sort of monster coming at you in the dark. That's anyway. We digress. The canal here. Have you done so you've done the full ring? That's 96 miles. I know it's 96 miles because the Jasonator, one of my other guest runners, that's one of his challenges he wants to do. He wants to run the whole of the Cheshire Ring.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I've done that. I've done that a long way. Yeah, I didn't. That would probably take me several weeks. But no, I've done. I think I've done every inch of canals, and I don't walk any of it either. If I can't run, I stop.
You stop.
I stop. Yeah.
So how long a segment? How much long do you do at a time?
Well, yeah, it depends on the logistics of it really. I've started trying to do longer sections because the further I get, it's a bit of an expedition every time. I know what you mean. And do it now, and I've slowed down a bit now. So the last I did 20 miles just short of 20 miles. Recently on the Grand Union Canal. Whereas when I was doing the canals around here originally, I could just get in my car and do 2 or 3 miles. Because one of the things you've got to think about is how you get back to where you started as well.
I normally rely on buses and things, but it's not quite.
See, in the cities you can get an Uber. You can get an Uber. That's correct. But if you're out in the countryside, so quite often I'll end up in this where it does take a long time. I'll do like 8 miles, but I'll run 4 miles there, 4 miles back to cover 4 miles. So when I think I've done like 530 miles now, something like that. But the actual miles I've run on the canal is probably maybe 700, something like that, if you include me running backwards and coming backwards and forwards. I think
what Adrian needs is what I need too, which is an electric folding bike. Because then I've got a folding bike and it's so heavy. So I'm saving up right now for an electric folding bike so that I can just take the bike, drive to the end point, put the folding bike up, chain it up, drive to the start, run it, and then if you've done 20 miles, your legs are a bit wobbly. So then you get on the bike and let it do all the hard work.
That's a great idea.
Pedal back.
That's a great idea, yeah.
Because then you could, instead of doing 4 miles, you could be doing 8 or 10 miles stretches.
So I've tried that with a bike. I've taken a bike to the other end of the run. But in the end, it doesn't really save that much time. By the time you've driven your car there, and sometimes it's quite difficult bike cycling because it's not very even. So sometimes I just run there and back. It's kind of straightforward.
So so if you'd like some support doing one of these, I'd be more than happy to
that'd be fantastic.
Drop you off.
Yeah, that'd be
and
fantastic.
Pick you up at the far end, so you could do a one-wayer.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I think that if you'd be prepared to wear the head cam, that would probably make a really beautiful video.
Yeah. Go early in the morning. If you're happy to get up in the morning.
See, there's positives to not being able to run. You meet all these other great runners, and they help you out. But no, that would be. I think that'd be good. That'd help everybody, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
So, where are you heading next?
I think Birmingham. There's a lot of canals in Birmingham.
They all meet it, but
it's really complicated, and I've really got to make sure, because it looks the same as well. We've got to make sure I don't end up repeating myself. Yeah, but I am really careful about making sure that doesn't happen. Actually, I mean, in Birmingham, some of it's not that nice really, through industrial estates, but then you can run through a part like that and then come out into areas that you just like straight into the countryside. I was running through Wednesbury or Walsall, around there somewhere, running through the city, and then it opened out into a bit of countryside, and there was a deer there, it escaped a field, and it was sort of perched on the side of the canal, which that's the only time I've ever seen that.
I've had that myself. I ran down to Padstow and then over the fields on the Saints Way, and just going over this top. It's a beautiful place, that stunning video, and over the fields. and then all of a sudden there was a deer on the path in front of me, and then of course it jumped up. It's like on the aren't half bouncy, but it was like it just looked at me like it had never seen a human before. And it was, and it didn't just run away. It was there watching me, and it sort of jumped around and then looked at me some more, and then went back to it, or finally going off. It was magic.
But the other thing about it, there's a big community of people on the canals as well. People are very friendly, you know.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, you get to speak to a lot of different people. Meet people over the canal.
Well, you make memories. That's everywhere you go. It's just one day you won't be able to run anymore, but you'll be able to just sit there, close your eyes, and be able to see all these beautiful places.
Well, what I'm hopefully going to keep going as long as possible, because the end target is to do the whole lot.
So the whole network.
The whole network
is
how
far?
There's different ways of defining the network, but the Canal and River Trust, they under their the way they categorise it, it's 2,200 miles. So I've done 530 now, so it's probably going to take me till maybe I'm 75 or something like that.
I think that's a really good.
Keep steadily plodding along. Hopefully, I'll get as far as I can.
Good on you.
I'm not sure anybody's ever done that before or been daft enough to do it before.
I'm doing the sort of thing I'm doing a coastal one, so I've been working my way around the coast, and I've run all the way down the North Wales coast, and I'm sort of now hoping to head in the other way up towards the Lake District.
Well, that must be like a huge
I'm doing the
distance.
same. That's a couple of thousand miles, isn't it?
Right.
But I'm doing the same sort of thing as you. I'll do a sort of 10 miles at a time, maybe 15 miles, 20 miles some days, and it's just fantastic because you just meet. I think canals are probably I should have done canals like you, because it's a little bit flatter, but it's not always flat, is it?
No.
Have you done that one up at I had a lovely run over at Upper Mill, and I ran up onto Saddleworth Moor, but it started with a section on the Huddersfield Narrow.
Another really nice. I've done up to the tunnel, got as far as the tunnel, but then you've got to go round the mountain. It's quite a long drive to the other side of the tunnel to get what the tunnel's
because isn't it? It's like the highest canal, isn't it? It goes over the top.
I think you're right. Yeah. But again, that goes through some areas where you might not. But that is such a nice canal. I've took some great photos there.
Right.
Sunsets around there. Really, really nice. That canal is. But I need to. That's one of the next projects is to start. I've got somebody actually who have collared to give me a lift on that section that lives in Huddersfield. So that's one of my next projects to do a section around Huddersfield.
Very good. And so you're still raising money?
No. I raised £500 for the hospital, and then I'm not going to try and raise money anymore. But I'm talking to a charity, a cancer charity in Stoke, and they more wanting people to raise awareness. It's Pink Sisters and Misters in Stoke, and they're like helping people who've suffered from cancer, providing groups and groups they can join, and counselling services and that sort of thing. Because I've had like 6 months of chemo while I've been doing this canal run. Yes, yeah. I mean, that did slow me down as well.
Well, just a bit.
Yeah, I was doing that. I was down to doing like a mile or 2 miles. That's the most I could do at some stages. But I think it also helped as well. Keeping doing exercise. There's lots of evidence that can help your recovery speed your recovery up, and just helpful all around really. So and I think having this project of the canal, that it kind of gives you a bit of gives you a bit of discipline to keep going and keep doing it. So
I think
yeah.
Let's raise some money for them. We'll put some details for them in the.
I'm not raising money. I'm not raising money for them, but I'm trying to raise awareness.
Perhaps get some something with their logo on it
Yeah,
for you, you can wear when you're doing it.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with them next week, and we're going to have a look at some ideas of how to do that. Yeah.
And if people are interested in following you, where can they get you on Instagram, Strava?
Instagram really. That's is the Canal Runner on Instagram, and I post, every couple of weeks on there, and the story, of all the different, a lot of the different runs and sort of milestones are on there. People want to look
Well,
at that.
I'm following that's for sure. Yeah, you inspire me. I look at it and go, I want to go there.
Yeah, that's a part of it really. A lot of these places, when you're running along them, I mean, everybody knows about the Shropshire Union Canal, the Trent and Mersey, but really the best canals are some of the more obscure ones, because they don't always go anywhere. A lot of the boat owners don't really go down those canals very much. But for anybody that's a runner or wants to go for a walk, or they're some of the they're some of the best ones really. Yeah. I think it's the Manchester Bury Bolton Canal is another partly abandoned canal. Really, overgrown. That's one I'd recommend if people like walking down canals, like the countryside. I'd recommend that one to anybody. Not so much the bit in Manchester itself, but as you're going more out towards Bury, Bolton, around there. I think I've got the title of that canal right. That's really good as well. But then on the Instagram account, you can there's pictures on there, and I think you can see the locations and what have you as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great. I will keep you updated on your progress, and perhaps you'll be able to tell us more about it as you've.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, well, thanks for taking the time to interview me.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I'm sure everybody enjoyed that. I certainly did. And you've given me plenty of ideas for places to go.
Very good.
Right.
Okay.
Well, lovely to meet you, mate.
Yes, and you.
And all the best and all good luck.
Thank you. Yeah.
What a challenge.
I hope you get back running again soon. Yeah.
Oh. Please. Otherwise, it's killing me. But there's always someone in a worse place than you, and hopefully this is just something that will eventually just go away.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Okay.
Right. Take care, folks. See you all next time. Make sure you tune in next week, because next week's run over at Froggatt Edge is a stunner, and I visit a Grade 2 listed chip shop, which has had visitors including Tom Cruise, Liam Gallagher, and Jarvis Cocker. So that'll be fun. Take care. See you next time.